Hey, welcome to Stories Between Ink and Coffee. This is a space where I share ideas, drawings, and creative processes as they happen. Usually with a coffee next to me, thinking out loud, holding a pen, sketching something. Ideas can come from anywhere. This is the first episode, and it starts with a drawing I made a while ago, one that never really left. The goal of this podcast isn't to teach, and it's not about telling finished stories either. It's more about documenting the process, how an image appears, how it stays in your head, how it changes over time, and what it might eventually become. Sometimes it will be fragments of a story, other times just loose ideas. A lot of times, doubts, but everything is part of the same process. So, to begin. A while ago, I made a drawing. That's usually how all my ideas start, with a drawing. In this case, it was a face, a character where I started mixing in organic elements. If you know my work, I love drawing robots, but I'm always trying to blend things, the human, the mechanical, and the organic. By organic, I mean plants, nature. So this was a face that felt partly organic, partly mechanical. Like something was invading it, or maybe connecting two worlds that aren't supposed to connect. One eye was different from the other. There were cables, lines, things that didn't fully make sense, but they triggered something in my mind. At the time, I didn't think too much about it. It was just an exercise, a pen sketch like many others, just trying to get an idea out of my head and move on. But over time, it stayed. Some ideas come and go, but others come back, and this one kept coming back. Sometimes while I was drawing something else, sometimes just while thinking. I started making different versions of it. At one point, like you can probably see in the podcast image, I drew robotic hands holding this organic form, almost like trying to contain it. And at some point, it stopped being just an image. It started feeling like there was a story behind it. And then I began to wonder, what if this isn't just a drawing? What if this is the beginning of something else? I still don't know if it's a short story, a book, or just an idea that keeps evolving. But there's something in that character, in that mix between organic and artificial, that I really want to explore. And that's what this podcast is about too, a space to explore ideas. Over time, the drawing started to change, or maybe I just started seeing it differently. It wasn't just a face anymore. It felt like someone being taken over by something, like a fusion between two worlds. I started imagining this character as someone who had been contaminated, not sick in the traditional sense, but invaded by something alive, like nature or something similar to a plant was growing inside him. And then a bigger idea appeared. What if this isn't happening to just one person? What if it's something larger? I started imagining a planet, completely taken over by some kind of grass. But not normal grass, something that grows, spreads, and takes control. And what really interested me is that it doesn't just affect humans, it also affects machines, robots. Like this thing, whatever it is, can enter systems and control them from within. That's when another image appeared, a scientist. Someone arriving on this planet, not fully understanding what's going on. Maybe trying to investigate, recover information, or just see if anything is still alive. But what he finds isn't what he expected. Because this place isn't dead, it's active, it's alive, in a way that's hard to understand. He starts taking samples, running tests, and he has a robot assistant with him. This actually became a short story at some point. I even wrote it. In the story, the scientist discovers that this grass isn't fully organic. It has technological components, almost like there's code inside it. And that's what allows it to control both living things and machines. Eventually, this entity takes control of the robot, and the scientist decides to escape. At the time, I didn't really know how to end the story, and it ended up being a bit tragic. He escapes the planet, but the sample he took with him contaminates him too. He realizes it when he gets back to his ship. He sees his hand, and there's something growing on it, vegetation. He considers cutting it off, considers a lot of things, but in the end, he sends a message. Don't come back to this planet, because it's contaminated, and we don't really understand what it is. I thought that was the end of the idea, but it wasn't. I kept drawing, and now I'm working on a larger piece. A character, a woman slightly hunched, also contaminated, but with fungal growth. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen some of these drawings, faces that are half human, half plant. And all of this is part of the same idea, growing over time. What started as a drawing then became a short story. And now it's slowly turning into something bigger, maybe even a future book. And that's exactly what I want to share here. Not finished stories, but how ideas are born, how they evolve, and how they eventually become worlds. Because that's what I love the most, creating worlds and stories. So yeah, this is the beginning, and I hope we get to explore many more ideas together. If you have thoughts, ideas, or anything you want to share, feel free to leave a comment. Take care, enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, and before I forget, this series will also be available on Spotify in Spanish, so if you want the original version, you can find the link below. Alright, take care, bye!